So it's a very special day, and we're glad you guys are joining us. We know it's a very odd time to be doing this because it's very early in the morning in America. It's very late at night in the Philippines. So we understand most of you will be watching the recording, but we're glad that you can spend this little anniversary with us. This is our way of celebrating because this is what we love to do. So.
Yep. Thank you for joining us. I wonder who are joining us right now, and I'm excited to know. So, Travis, what else do we?
Well, don't worry about that. But 8 years. So we've known each other 8 years. I'm just checking the room. We've known each other 8 years, and 7 years I've been on YouTube. You believe that?
Mm-hmm.
7 years. So 8 years knowing each other, 7 years on YouTube. Hopefully we have a lot more time. I'm just checking different things. It's very confusing trying to live stream. We go through this every time. I think this is about our 5th time live streaming. So I can't look at I have to switch to look at the camera, then I can't see who's in the room. It's all very confusing. So I apologize for that, the little glitches and everything. And we're just glad if you guys can join us or watching the recording. And 7 years on YouTube, hopefully we'll have at least a few more. Every time I try and get this channel going full bore, there's always problems. And lately we've had a few of those. Okay, Alexander Tan is
Good
here
evening,
again.
Alexander Tan.
He was here last time.
Yep.
Saigo EP. I don't know how to pronounce that.
It's Saigo, and let me just spell it to make sure. IPPEI. IPay? Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Don Jovi.
Just so you
said happy anniversary.
Yeah, thanks, Don Jovi. He was here last time too. My loyal followers, my loyal subscribers. The way I think of this is it's kind of like a talk radio show.
Which I love.
Yeah, you hosted a talk show on radio.
Yes.
And so you're a talk show radio host. But me, I've always had a big fascination with talk radio because in Los Angeles, we spend a lot of time in our cars and me driving to auditions and stuff. I'm always in the car for endless hours in that notorious Los Angeles traffic. And I don't really listen to music like a lot of people because music, the thing is, they seem to play the same songs over and over again, year after year, decade after decade. So I like to listen to talk radio. I find that a bit more stimulating. So we think of this kind of like that. We're like a podcast. And we understand people, this is not visually very stimulating. So people are probably going to, maybe even open up other windows and just listen to the audio, and that's fine. Or if you want to stare at us for an hour or however long we do this, that's fine too.
And I would love to stare at you all too, guys. I mean, I would want to talk to you in person, but since we can't see you, I hope this will be fine. And we haven't read one comment. It says, okay, this is cool. That is from...
He actually left that like a half hour before the live stream started.
That's still good. That's from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, J.
Says we have 6 people watching now. Like I said, I understand most people are going to watch the recording of this. I really like this format. We did this almost 2 weeks ago, and I want to do it again in the meantime, but I want people to watch that. I understand it's a big commitment of time. This is a very loose, unstructured format, but it's a very intimate format in terms of you can get to know me better as opposed to the more structured videos. So this is a nice once-in-a-while thing, but I would do it every night if there's people that wanted to listen to it. But I understand that's a big time commitment. I like to listen to, which is also on YouTube, the Eddie Bravo podcast. And Eddie Bravo's podcast is 3 hours. He does it once a week only, but it's 3 hours long. And that's a big time commitment to sit there for 3 hours. It's fascinating. I don't drive here, but if you're one of those people maybe that has an iPhone, smartphone, whatever, you can maybe hook it up to your car and just listen to it as you drive through traffic, and that's nice. But for me to sit at my computer 3 hours just to listen to the Eddie Bravo podcast on YouTube, I mean, sometimes it's a little hard, 3 hours out of my week. Don Jovi asks, Travis, where is your Firebird? Actually, I've owned 2 Firebirds in my lifetime. This is getting a bit sidetracked, but it's live,
you should finish it first and then go to that. So
well, let me answer this question. Travis, where's your Firebird? My last Firebird that I bought in California, the silver one, which you can see in a couple of my videos, I sold that back in 2010 before coming to the Philippines because I didn't have a place to store it while I was gone. I mean, not that I've been here since 2010, because I went back after that trip. But I sold that in 2010. I still have a Firebird Trans Am, a 1986 Firebird Trans Am, and that one's in North Dakota at my parents' house. And maybe I would sell it for the right price. It's a pretty cool car. I have that in a video too, which is pretty cool. Shot by my dad and him. I'm an expert camera operator. Trying to coach my dad to my specifications and direct him to do it was very challenging. But the video came out well. I think that one's on my channel the video's called Classic Trans Am, I think is the title of that. So.
You know what? I want to know where they are from, like Alexander, you're in Manila. And the others.
I'm sure he's
here in Manila. Feel free to tell us where you are right now so we know who are with us.
And we're here in Manila at the moment. We'll be making a little trip here next week, right?
Yeah.
After the weekend, something like that.
I'll be hosting a wedding reception.
You'll be hosting a wedding reception for people that don't know. She hosts, not only is she a radio host, she hosts weddings, she hosts birthdays, she hosts
any kind of parties,
any kind of events. And we actually co-hosted once. We co-hosted Taco Bell's Christmas party, not this past year, but the previous year. We co-hosted that together. Actually, you did most of the hosting, and I would just kind of come in and chime in, and I let you do the heavy lifting on that one. But she is an event host, a radio host, and
I teach.
I was just going to mention that. This is worth mentioning. She's a teacher, and what's your favorite subject to teach?
English. Actually, English. I taught in university communication-related subjects, and I have been teaching English to Japanese students online. Unfortunately, that thief stole the laptop that I was using to teach online. It was actually a gift from Travis, the laptop. So now I couldn't even teach online. I couldn't
put the kibosh on that. But enough about that thief.
Yeah.
That completely robbed us blind. I don't want to dwell on things. Things are okay since then.
I'm gonna get a new laptop. When? How? I don't know yet. By God's grace, I can teach again and do more stuff.
Yeah, we're still kind of getting back on our feet, but man, we're doing good. It's not an issue. I don't want to keep bringing up that fool.
Well, I could.
But if we are going to bring it up now, since we're speaking off the cuff, something that's been on my mind: the Philippines prides itself on being such a good Christian nation and stuff. Yet they have all these various types of crime, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting, the crime rate in atheist countries is very low, like Northern Europe, where they're predominantly atheist. Japan is a very atheist country, but they had their tsunami. Instead of waiting on the government, everyone pitched in and worked together to clean it up and helped each other. No looting or anything like that. So it's kind of interesting. And obviously, thieves and criminals, they're not real Christians. But it's amazing that the Christian majority, or people that consider themselves a Christian, they just unfortunately can't get these other knuckleheads in line that have to break all the rules, break all the laws, and just, it's not that hard. Like the Christians say, love your neighbor. They can't get that part down. They just, selfishness, psychotic people. And now we have these two famous psychos here in the Philippines, which you've probably heard me talk about, Denise and Cedric. Those complete lunatics. And most people are with me because it seems like the majority of the country is against those freaks. But a couple people said we shouldn't judge them until they've had their trial. There's video evidence that shows they're guilty. Could not be otherwise. If you look at the video evidence of them entering the lobby and leaving in the elevators, the time codes, their story is completely fake. There's no way they're not guilty. It's proven on video. It's not my opinion. And I don't like to get involved with political issues or whatever, but I feel like I'm not really going out on a limb by criticizing those people. They're guilty as heck. And even before the CCTV footage was released, I mean, their story didn't make any sense. They were clearly telling a pack of lies. So don't get at me for that, but we're getting lots of people here.
Yeah,
Someone here's from Australia and just got back from Puerto Princesa.
That's Saigo Ipe. Am I pronouncing your name right? Oh, hi, from Kate Vergara. Happy anniversary, Eman, Travis, Kai here from UST. Hi, Kai. I think Kai is my classmate in college. Nice to hear
UST.
from you. I hope you're doing great. Are you in Thailand now or in the Philippines?
Thank you for tuning in to the little broadcast here. Speaking of talk radio being a big influence over me, most people didn't know that. Mm-hmm. But there's another thing that's been a big influence over me really since the 1980s, late 80s. And that person is now living in retirement, not by choice. Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking about Jay Leno. I've been watching Jay Leno since like probably the 1980s, late 80s, mm-hmm. since before he was the permanent host of The Tonight Show, when he was just the fill-in host. I'd watch it with my dad as a little kid, and I remember in second grade telling people when I grow up I'm going to be a stand-up. I tell people when I grow up I'm going to be a comedian because I love Jay Leno as a little boy all the way through now. I think he's just fantastic at what he does, and unfortunately, he's in a forced retirement right now. But I'll admit I'm not going to cry for Jay. I love Jay, but I'm not going to cry for him. The guy's a millionaire, and he still has lots of things going on. So I won't cry for him, even though I love him.
I miss watching Jay Leno. I started watching Jay Leno because of you, and that was in 2006. And that was the same year that we first met. Hold on, let's try to check the other messages, because remember I asked where they are.
Crap.
Don Jovi said, what's this? I just moved to Virginia. Virginia Mountain Mama.
I have not been there. I believe I've been to West Virginia once briefly for a wrestling tournament in college. But I don't think I've been to Virginia. Maybe I went to another tournament once in Washington, D.C., and I think we might have passed from there because Washington, D.C. is not in any... For those of you that don't know American geography, Washington, D.C. is not in an actual state, but it borders states. So I'm not sure if the tournament... It was at, I believe, George Washington University or University of the United States. Something. One of those, whatever's out there.
You can try to look it up later.
I don't remember.
Just Google it later.
I remember I wrestled well, though, on that trip, so that's all I remember.
3-time
my performance.
State wrestling champion. Yee.
But by the way, while we're on the wrestling subject, I've considered doing a few seminars here, or maybe a camp.
Summer wrestling camp.
Yeah, because
training.
Now in the Philippines, they don't have wrestling in the schools like we have in the U.S., and there's a lot of interest in it because MMA is so popular here. And people that watch MMA, they see all these guys in MMA, a lot of them, especially the Americans, are former wrestlers. And they know that that's an important thing. If you want to do MMA or learn to fight, you have to know wrestling. So there's all this interest now in the Philippines just because of the popularity of MMA. Even in the United States, when I was doing wrestling growing up in the 90s before the UFC broke through, wrestling people didn't respect it. They thought it's just sweaty guys rolling around in tights, and there's no respect now. But I always considered it a martial art, and now, thankfully, because of the popularity of the UFC, wrestling is finally gaining respect, but I've been toying with the idea of maybe doing some seminars, doing some teaching, maybe an extended camp for 2 or 3 weeks, and it can be we can have children because it's great for kids, and we can also do adults that wanna try it. Yeah. So maybe I'll do some teaching while I'm here, teaching some wrestling.
If you're interested, you can get hold of us because we're still it's still on the planning stage, but we're open to partnerships. We can do it anywhere here in Manila, I guess, as long as we have a decent place for that. We're also considering doing that in the province. And on that note, actually, before I met Travis, sorry, but the truth is, I thought wrestling was, like the WWE thing. And I just learned that was it, the real wrestling, when I met you.
Sadly, so many people think that, especially in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. MMA, the popularity of MMA, it's also given kind of another weird perception of wrestling. MMA fans, they seem to think that wrestling is just takedowns, but they don't understand, and they think that they hear a lot about Greco-Roman, and they think that that's the most effective for MMA. They don't understand the difference between these different styles of wrestling, of folk style, which is what they do in American schools, freestyle and Greco, which are Olympic styles. They don't know the difference. Really, if you're talking about effectiveness for MMA and fighting in general, what's the most effective style of wrestling to learn out of those three? I would say, without a doubt, it has to be folk style. But a lot of people think it's Greco because they hear all the Joe Rogan mentioning Greco-Roman all the time. I don't think Joe Rogan, I respect him, but I don't think he knows much about wrestling. Most wrestling techniques used in MMA, especially for takedowns, it seems like it's just a basic double leg takedown is the number one takedown, which is the first thing they teach you in wrestling. And then for the ground stuff, the freestyle and Greco-Roman wrestling, none of that groundwork from there, the gut wrenches and leg laces, none of that will translate to MMA or fighting. You wouldn't use it in a real fight. However, folk style wrestling where you have to learn to ride a guy or hold him down, or if you're on bottom, to escape and get back up to your feet, that stuff is heavily important for MMA. And you got to know that stuff. If you only train in, I think that's why the American wrestlers have so much success in MMA versus you have a lot of great international wrestlers like Russians, Iranians, Cubans or whatever. They don't seem to have the same success, these great like Olympic wrestlers and stuff, because it's that basis of folk style wrestling and that control on the ground. Especially these days, since people watch Chuck Liddell, if Chuck Liddell, who was a good wrestler in his own right, if he would get taken down and he was on bottom, it wasn't like the old days where guys would just try and play guard and wrap their legs around him and either just try and hold on to the guy for a stalemate so the ref stands them up, or maybe work off their back for a submission or whatever, which can be risky because you might take damage from punches if you got especially a good wrestler on top of you. Chuck Liddell, he would get taken down and he would try and pop right back up to his feet and get away. And people learn from watching that. So if you're going to do MMA, and I don't do MMA, but if you're going to do MMA, you really have to learn to control the person on the ground and keep them down. And that's part of the skills that you really get doing folk style wrestling, American folk style. But enough about wrestling. If you guys are interested in it, maybe I'll put on some seminars or a camp and do some teaching.
Yeah, especially that summer is fast approaching. But you know what, guys? Travis started wrestling at what age?
9. I did it from age 9 to 23.
Yeah, and
14 years of my life was spent revolving so much around wrestling.
Let me just add to that something I think that you have. The best thing that you got out of that training is like discipline. So I think that's a great thing that kids could get out of it, not only like for physical fitness and training and athletics, discipline.
Let's answer some of these questions. Here's an embarrassing one from Kate Vergara, and I say it's embarrassing, and you'll see why in a minute. But I'm going to answer it anyways.
So Kate or Don?
Kate. I'll get to Don's.
Why?
I meant Don, actually. Actually, I'll mention Don.
Kate or Kai, because she's my college classmate. I asked if she's still in Thailand, and she said, "No, I'm back in Philippines since 2009." There, thank you. She said, "You guys look great together."
Let me answer Don Jovi's question, and it's a little bit embarrassing in a way, but I'll explain myself here. Don Jovi asks, "What did you get Ema for Valentine's Day?" And I'll be honest here, I got her nothing, and it's not because I'm a cold-hearted dude or anything like that. It's just personally, and I don't. If you're into it, it's fine. Whatever makes you happy. But personally, I don't really get too into holidays, especially very commercialized holidays like Valentine's Day, which is maybe that's like a whole holiday made up just for companies to make money off of. I didn't get her anything. She didn't get me anything, right?
I didn't get anything,
and that's
for
fine.
him.
Like, we don't really celebrate that. I never even know when that is because it's just a made up holiday to me. Even Christmas, it's just about. I love capitalism, but it's just about moving products and making money. Therefore, I don't really celebrate the holidays in general, other than Halloween. I love, but I don't celebrate that when I'm in this country. And actually, the only Halloween that I've ever spent in this country, the Philippines, is this past one. Normally, I'm in America for that, and in LA they have the big thing in West Hollywood, and I like to dress up and go show off my costume, whatever I'm dressed as. And I love looking at other people's costumes. It's just Halloween's an interesting holiday. If maybe you don't know about this if you're an American, but the reason I love Halloween is because it's the one day out of the year that you can dress however you want, and it's perfectly okay. So I mean, who would refuse that? I don't understand those people that go to Halloween parties and don't wear a costume. To me, that's kind of lame because you have to wear that outfit the other 364 days a year. But I love Halloween. I mean, and it's I know it's such an American holiday, but to me, that's the one that I really get into. The one holiday that I just love and have to celebrate is Halloween.
Well, even if you didn't celebrate Halloween last year in the Philippines,
It's okay.
you did a fun event where Travis was Superman. It's like a cosplay event for a big company, and Superman was the highlight of the event. So that was really fun. That was just last January, right? Yeah, last month. And yeah, the photos are on his Facebook.
Yep, it's facebook.com/TravisCraftOfficial. If you want to hit me up on Facebook, I understand not everyone's into Facebook, and that's cool, man. Whatever you guys want to do, it's all good.
Yeah, and for those who don't know yet, Travis actually was Lindsay Lohan's Superman for Harper's Bazaar. So
That was so many years ago, though. I never even
people
think
love
of that.
inviting you to do Superman, events and stuff like that. Even in the province, there's this one video on his YouTube channel where people went so crazy, I mean, in a positive way. They were so amazed, they were entertained, and they just loved seeing Superman in person. Like just like a kid.
Let's answer Don Jovi's other question here. By the way, last time we did a live stream and people mentioned this, halfway through the stream, it quit allowing people to make comments, so we couldn't answer them. I wonder if that's what happened here. But Don Jovi asks, "Did you move yet?" Yes, we moved. You saw that the last video I uploaded was the Travis vlog 2, where it showed us going and looking at another place, an alternative place that we didn't move into, which was an awesome place.
Yeah.
We got it for, what, $12,000 flat, 1-bedroom apartment, fully furnished, awesome place, but we couldn't get good internet there, so it screwed up the whole thing.
Yeah, actually, we forgot something. I think there's one important thing that will be helpful if you're trying to consider moving to a new place here in the Philippines, and we experienced it. We moved to this place. Yes, Don Jovi, to answer your question, we already moved to a new place, and before we moved here, the reason why we moved here, why we chose this over the other option that we really considered first, is that according to the caretaker here and who else did we talk to, that there is an internal wiring for available for internet in this place. And like when the people from the internet and the phone company came, they just discovered there was no internal wiring available. So what happened was it was
Filipinos will
yeah,
understand
it
this.
was a big hassle for us because when they came, I mean, there's no way for us to get the connection because there was no internal wiring. So we had to hire an electrician on the same day because we waited for like a few days to get the connection back. And thankfully, the electrician that we hired was able to find a way. So he just exposed the wires outside and made a way for the wires to be connected to the internet main line or phone line. Same thing with the cable. So next time, that's the tip that the electrician gave us. If you check places, even if you see like the thingy where you can plug stuff, or which is also like where they put internal wiring, double check if there's really internal wiring in it. You can like insert something like a wire, or an electrician maybe can go with you to check it. Because if not, you
Okay.
know,
We are getting new messages here, so apparently it hasn't cut those people off yet. But Jude M says, I haven't seen a single MMA show, and that's fine. You can watch it. Maybe you'd love it. Maybe you'd hate it. If it's not your cup of tea, that's okay. I understand. By the way, I have a bit of a conflicted opinion on MMA. I love it in terms of entertainment and watching it, and I love watching. I just love watching the fights, and I love that finally wrestling's getting respect as a fighting art because of the popularity of the UFC. However, I would never encourage anyone to become an MMA fighter because the truth is they're going to take so much damage to their brains getting hit in the head over and over again, and it's just not healthy. I work out still, even though I'm a retired athlete. I still work out, and the reason I work out is because I want to be healthy. I just want to be, because if you don't have
fit.
health, if you don't have health, I mean, even more than looks, I don't really model that much anymore. But I just want to be a healthy person. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So I work out to be healthy and stuff, but I don't want to encourage people to try and become MMA fighters knowing they're going to take all this damage throughout the course of their careers. And MMA, as a professional MMA fighter, it's so hard to make it and make it as a living. There's so many former UFC fighters coming out of the woodwork, and the UFC is like the major leagues for that sport. And unless you're the top person, one of the top people in the UFC, you just can't make decent money doing it. I think becoming a successful MMA fighter is harder to do than becoming a successful Hollywood actor. I really do. So I don't want to encourage anyone to go into that profession. As much as I love watching it, as much as
I was
I'm
just
a
gonna
fan
say
of
that.
it,
Yeah.
I don't want to encourage other people. Part of me just wishes that it would kind of go away now. It's been great in terms of proving what would work in terms of martial arts and getting rid of some of the myths about martial arts and things like that. But I just don't want to see anyone necessarily get hurt just to follow a passion and a dream. So part of me kind of wishes it would just go away. Just you know, and I read an article recently by a jujitsu teacher that feels the same way as me. He loves watching the UFC and he loves watching MMA, but it's conflicting in terms of he doesn't want to see people take brain damage. And the bottom line is you're going to take a lot of brain damage doing MMA, doing boxing, that kind of thing. So I also wanted to get into boxing when I was younger, but my parents didn't let me, and I'm very thankful for that.
And let me just add, Jude, thank you for joining us. If you haven't checked out Travis's videos, like the sports, sports oriented or like oriented videos. I'm trying to think of something else. Taekwondo. What else have we done? Yeah, check them out. And we haven't read Deborah Kern's message yet.
Okay, then let's get to our cooks after that.
Thank you, Deborah. What are you saying?
So Deborah Kearns, looking good. We appreciate that, Deborah. Our cook just weighed in with his opinion. Agree on your thoughts regarding wrestling. Enjoy your videos from Ohio, USA.
Yay!
Well, thank you. You know, Ohio is one of the toughest states in the entire country for wrestling.
Oh, yeah?
I remember going to the national tournament as a teenager, the junior nationals or the cadet nationals, and you look at who you have to wrestle first round, and you don't want to have to draw a guy from Ohio. You don't want Ohio, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, most states in the Midwest. That's not who you want. Generally, you want someone from like Alabama first round, someone that you think is going to be an easy match. Someone from the South where the wrestling's not very good. But Ohio it's one of the best states in the entire country for wrestling, especially on a high school level. I mean, by the way, a former Ohio wrestler, from Ohio State champion, is coming to the Philippines in about a month to visit, and he's going to have the time of his life, I'm sure. So we have an Ohio State champion wrestler coming to the Philippines to visit, and
I hope he's watching.
I don't think he's watching, but I can't. Hopefully I can see him here, and if we would have had that other apartment that was bigger, we could have let him stay with us. And a good friend of mine.
He could join us on a live stream sometime.
So we got an Ohio State champion coming to Manila, Philippines.
Soon.
And all the ladies will love him, I'm sure. And I'm sure he'll love the ladies here, although I think he has someone in mind when he comes.
Yeah.
So I've finished my drink, which I've been drinking this soda here. I'm kind of like Uncle Si from Duck Dynasty.
Speaking of, I wanted to get into that Duck Dynasty. I love Duck Dynasty.
I
love watching Duck Dynasty. How about you guys?
Duck Dynasty. Here's the thing: when you live in a country outside of the United States, you're very limited for English shows.
I'm just fixing your shirt.
You're distracting me. Is what
Sorry.
You're saying. But when you live in a country like this outside the United States, you're very limited in terms of English programming. So you find yourself watching a lot of things that you wouldn't normally watch. While I'm in America, truth be told, I hardly watch television. And when I'm in the Philippines, I actually watch more television, but I have to watch weird things that I would never even consider watching because the English programming here is so limited. And lately I've been watching a couple shows. I've been watching reruns of Frasier, which I never watched when it was originally on. I remember that show was on when I was a little kid. I remember in junior high school, that show was already in syndication when I was in junior high. And so I've been watching that, but as an adult, I guess I can appreciate more. It's not a show for kids. But also I've been watching Duck Dynasty, which is... there's a lot of talk about it being fake or whatever, but they don't really try and pretend that the show's a straight documentary. They just, they're pretty open that it's meant to be entertaining, and it's really just a sitcom about these dudes' lives, in a way. I mean, it's not meant to be a straight documentary, but it's in terms of being a sitcom that's shot documentary style. I think the show is brilliant in terms of that.
Yeah.
And you'd think the show's about hunting, but the show actually has pretty much nothing to do with that. The show is just a comedy about an imperfect but loving family, and the reason I think it's popular across the entire country. And not everyone from the country is from the South. Not everyone's a redneck. Definitely my family's not like that. But there's so many characters. This is why I think people like the show. When I watch the show, I watch those guys and I can kind of relate to it. And hey, I have an uncle kind of like that guy. I have a relative kind of like that guy. I can see bits and pieces of my own family in that show. And I think most people in America, no matter what part of the country they're from, they can see bits and pieces of their family in that show. So I think it's brilliant, and I'm surprised the Philippines hasn't tried to rip it off yet because it's a pretty easy to follow formula. Just a family show about a good-natured family that kind of, ribs each other and just gets into a little bit of hijinks. But you like that show.
Yeah. Also, like, it's not as if they are portraying, a character that's not their natural. I mean, it's just them. It's their natural character.
Maybe an
So
extension of them.
yeah, and I just love it. And the what I love about it most is the values that they show and that they live by.
Well, I think that's another reason it's popular. TV keeps getting, especially network TV and stuff, it keeps getting, I guess, dirtier and dirtier, and they keep trying to push the envelope of traditional values and stuff. And I guess people have just been clamoring for a show that has traditional values and Christian people, because that's probably how the majority of the United States views themselves. So I think that's a big reason it's a hit. It's the only show that has that kind of traditionalism. Not that America's a traditional country, but it's a very religious country. And I guess people just really wanted to see a show with Christian characters, Christian people, because you don't see that when you watch Friends. You don't see that when you watch The Mindy Project. And I'm not saying these other shows are bad shows, but I guess people, they just love seeing something that they can relate to and something that's almost a little piece of them. So the Duck Dynasty thing, it's good, and it's good they're enjoying their day. And I think the show eventually is going to run its course for television. But those dudes will be okay. So they're not in it to be TV stars, and that's not their life. This is just gravy for them on top of everything else, their other success and what they love doing. So
and I believe they're inspiring a lot of people.
they are.
And we're inspired by them, definitely.
They're even inspiring me in terms of, just seeing people have fun like that. I think it's awesome, and seeing people that love their family and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just think it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Which is Arnold Schwarzenegger's favorite word, I think. Fantastic. When you see Arnold describing things, oh, it's fantastic. This is fantastic. That's fantastic.
Speaking of Arnold, I think it's so cool that Arnold has his own YouTube channel. Like he's trying to catch up with the times.
Yeah, Arnold's always been an innovator, and he's still like doing his thing on YouTube, producing viral videos. So Arnold's still doing awesome. We saw his movie with Sly, and recently we saw, speaking of Sly, we saw Sly's recent movie, Sly Stallone. I call him Sly because we're good buddies, of course. And
Isn't it close like this?
But we saw his recent movie Grudge Match, which unfortunately didn't do well at the box office. But if you want to see a good movie, watch Grudge Match. Stallone, De Niro, icons in the movie world, and famous for making boxing movies. They do a movie where they fight, and I know they're old men, but the movie didn't do well. But it's unfortunate because it's funny, it's got some drama, it's kind of inspirational in a way. It's pretty much what you would expect, but pretty much what you'd want to see them do, that kind of thing. So, it's unfortunate that people passed on it in the... I don't even know what people are watching these days. Are they watching silly things like The Hobbit or these weird fantasy special effects movies? And I used to love superhero movies and used to collect comic books
Mm-hmm.
and wanted more superhero movies, but now it's like the only thing we have is superhero movies and they're all the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another big movie, the biggest failure of the year in terms of movies has been that Keanu Reeves movie, 47 Ronin, which I missed. You'd think a huge budget movie, fantasy movie starring Keanu Reeves, you'd say, well, how could that miss? And you'd also probably say, how can a boxing movie starring Stallone and De Niro be such a miss? But I guess times have changed so much of what, young audiences that go to the movies want.
Mm-hmm.
So Keanu Reeves, or as my dad calls him, Keanu Reeves. I know he's an old guy now. I don't know if young people really like him anymore. He's more for my generation. I remember when I was growing up, all the girls would be like, oh, Keanu Reeves, he's so hot. I don't know if the young teenage girls are talking about Keanu Reeves anymore. But I enjoy a lot of his work. Mainly, I love the Bill and Ted movies and the classic, which has kind of been influential over my life in terms of wanting to even move to California, Point Break, which they're remaking. I think Gerard Butler's in the Patrick Swayze role. But Point Break, which they shouldn't remake because the first one is so perfect, Point Break.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen the movie Point Break, they were even talking about it on Duck Dynasty, about what a great film Point Break is, and the way Keanu Reeves says, I am an FBI agent. That's classic. They'd better have that in the new movie. Whoever plays that role better deliver that line exactly the same way. I am an FBI agent. So,
What I want to watch, though, I mean, aside from that, like a remake would be Bill and Ted.
they might do Bill and Ted Part 3. They have to, like 50-year-old Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Crazy.
Because I love the
That would be
first
fun
two.
for
The first two Bill and Ted movies are classics. I was a little kid when they came out, but I've seen them recently as adults. They're even better.
Is this, that's the same, right? I'm kind of confused between
Where
that and
they
the
travel
other one.
through time with the phone
Yeah,
booth.
like the phone booth. Kids nowadays, they might like ask, what is that? Why do you need a phone booth? Yeah. Well, hold on.
Let's get to this question.
Oh,
A
yeah,
silly
there.
question. Travis and Imabelle, what is your favorite meal from Jollibee?
Do you have any? But if we go...
You see this? You see this? Does it
That's
look
his-
like I eat at Jollibee?
Psycho. If we go to Jollibee, well, chicken. That's it for sure.
I don't
'cause-
really eat at Jollibee.
Well, if we have
Now, if they want
to
to sponsor me or put me in a commercial,
yeah.
then Jollibee's the greatest. I'll tell you, Jollibee's the greatest restaurant of all time. But as of right now, man, I don't eat at Jollibee. That's a hard sell for Americans. Americans don't want to eat at Jollibee.
But Saigo, to answer your
They'll
question,
eat anywhere but Jollibee.
Yeah,
if you're an
if I
American.
go, if that's the place I have to go to eat, I like chicken. And
Jude.
hold on,
What?
yeah, me first. Kai, are you still in the room? Or in the room?
I'll let you take this. Let me
It's-
refill my soda.
Okay, it's like as if I just remember like chat rooms and stuff a long time ago. But Kai, if you're still there, I hope to see you one of these days. Kai, by the way, is my college classmate. And while Travis is refilling the glass, the soda, oh, Jude M said, I want a beard like those Duck Dynasty guys. Too bad I can grow one.
I can though.
Oh, Travis says he can grow, that kind of beard. Actually, yeah, I think Travis mentioned before that there were people on the internet saying, oh, they don't really have those hairy, phase at beards when they're not taping whatever. But that's part of their character, or that's part of making the show more interesting, because this makes them unique, right? So I think that's still cool. Yeah. What else? Hey, come back. And of course, guys, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time. We don't know if you're about to go to bed or you're supposed to do something for the day, but like what we've said, we do this out of the cuff. So any question, anything that you want to share, feel free to leave a comment for that. And we'll try to answer your questions and we'll try to consider them if you give us suggestions for videos that we may shoot or we may make in the future, we'll take note of that. Don Jovi said, Ima, did you ever see Sanford and Son?
It's a TV show. You don't know what that is.
I'm sorry, Don Jovi. I haven't seen that.
I can already tell you she doesn't know what that is.
Did you hear that? Travis said he can already tell. I don't know the show that you mentioned. I don't think that's shown here in the Philippines.
I don't know if it did either. I'll explain it when I get back.
Yeah, but Don Jovi, while Travis is not here back to say something about that show that you mentioned, do you like that show? Why do you like Sanford and Son? Actually,
you have no idea what he's even talking about.
I'm missing a lot here.
Hold on, I'll be there.
Yeah, but let me just share something. There were times that Travis asked me if I know this show or this one or whatever. And I would tell him, you know what, when I was a kid in the province that's outside Manila, we didn't really have cable, just like now, where we have access to a lot of different channels. But in the province, we didn't really have that. So I did get to watch these other TV shows, especially from America, that he, an American, got to watch when he was a kid. So I tried to catch up with whatever I just see when we already had cable in the province and when I came here to Manila.
I'm back, so let me explain. Sanford and Son. I did not expect to get a question about Sanford and Son.
Don Jovi.
Let me try and explain what that is. I've actually never seen Sanford and Son. I know the theme song, the theme music, which is very iconic. Sanford and Son, it's a show about an African-American man and his son, and I guess they live in a junkyard and they sell junk. And it's from like the 70s. I never watched it.
Mm-hmm.
I just never watched it, so I can't say too much about the show Sanford and Son. I do know most of the classics, though. I love the classics from Gilligan's Island to The Brady Bunch and my all-time favorite, Happy Days. But Sanford and Son, I never watched. I remember growing up, though, my brother watched, and this probably has nothing to do with Sanford and Son, except for the characters are also African Americans. My brother was a big fan of Good Times. Dynamite! Kid Dynamite from the show, if you know Good Times. Which, by the way, Jay Leno was a guest on that show one time, and he was a guy in an STD clinic.
Yeah,
had an STD.
I saw that clip.
But Good Times, my brother liked that show. I never really got into it. Maybe I couldn't relate, being a middle-class white kid from the Midwest, about a show about Good Times. It was a show about a black family that lived in the projects or the ghetto, like in New York or something like that. But my favorite show always was Happy Days. Mm-hmm. So, but I love classic television like that. Mm-hmm. I remember watching before school every morning, like in elementary school and junior high, before my dad would take me to school, we'd watch Bewitched and Gilligan's Island. I wasn't really into Bewitched. Gilligan's Island was a pretty good show. And I remember my first trip to the Philippines when I went to the province and saw people living in grass huts. Mm-hmm. I thought, man, this is just like Gilligan's Island. So, but Kate Vergara says, happy anniversary again, you guys. Bye for now. We're sorry to see you. You go, Kate.
Till next time, Kate or Kai.
Mm-hmm. So, what else do we want to say to people right now in this moment?
Well, I want to ask you guys, so far, I believe that you have been watching videos that we have been shooting and Travis made even in America. I want to know, what are your top 3 favorites?
Like I said, guys, I've been on YouTube 7 years now. I have a lot of videos about many very different things. Mm-hmm. I hope you guys are watching the complete library and the complete catalog.
Yeah, from celebrity interviews to traveling documentary, man on the street interviews, short films,
but
Filipino themed videos, and a lot more. So just check them out, and I know you'll enjoy them.
But let's talk about A couple of ones that have been gaining attention recently. I have the series that, if you're a regular subscriber, I'm sure you know about, my Man on the Street interviews, where I go and talk to average, everyday Filipinos and get their opinions on various subjects. The show isn't just about the subject, whatever the question is for that day. It's just about showing the Philippines, various parts of the Philippines, and showing everyday people what it's like here. But we also talk about a subject, so there's another layer to it. I have one of the ones I did recently, one of my last ones in that series has been getting lots of views. And the title of that one is Why Filipino Girls Like White Men. It's a very good subject to talk about because it's a bit provocative and gets people interested. So basically in the video we ask people what they think are good qualities about white people. And the girls answered that, and it's amazing. I thought girls were going to be shy. That was the one that was the easiest to get people to talk about on camera about. People were like, yeah, I'll talk about that. And, these girls gave their answers, but the videos come under a bit of criticism. And I was hoping black people would understand why I didn't just make it Americans or Westerners. The reason I made it about white men is, to some extent, I can say what it's like to be a white man in the Philippines. Not that I'm a representative for all white men, because I know not everyone's going to have the same experience as me. But the reason I didn't include black men as part of the subject of that video is I don't know what it's like to be a black man, so I can't chime in. I don't know. That's it's as simple as that. And a lot of black men have been watching that video. Some black men have been very cool and understanding about it. Some black men have gotten a bit miffed about it. Also, some Filipino men, because here's the bottom line. These girls were asked, what are good qualities about white men? And they answered that question as honestly as they could and had fun with it. It's meant to be a fun, entertaining video, not a scientific study. And that's I even said that basically in the video as a disclaimer. But some of these people, Filipino men and black men, have taken offense to it because they're, but here's the thing, guys. These girls aren't saying they prefer white men or anything like that. They're just complimenting white guys about what they think are good qualities about. They're not saying that they're better than other types of people, but some very insecure people have been watching the video of some very insecure Filipinos and insecure black men.
Non-white.
They've been taking offense and it's just out of their own security. These girls aren't saying that they prefer white men. They just happen to be complimenting good qualities about them, and that's it. And they get offended. It's like, what's wrong with these girls giving compliments to, white men? It's very in my opinion, it's racist to say that they shouldn't be doing that because nothing's being said about other races of people. They're just saying good things about this one particular race. And even this one this weird guy, black guy, I know he doesn't mean bad, but he says, like, oh, this is a very biased question, and, oh, maybe you're just trying to promote your own race. Promote the white race. What would I have to promote the white race for? Is there anyone that doesn't know that the white race exists? I think we're known as existing and out there. It doesn't need promoting. So, of course, it's not about that. The only reason I made it just about white men is because if I want to chime in, I can relate to experiences being a white man. I can't, speak on behalf of black people. That's it.
Yeah, and to add some points...
It's a good video, though, and I'm proud as heck of it.
To add some points to that, it's like this. When you make a video, you can't, put all these ideas, all these points in one. You have to focus. You have to be specific. And the question was very simple. Why do you why do you admire white guys?
What's good about white guys,
it's like, tell us the qualities that you like about them. It didn't say, why do you like them over these other races? Exactly. There's nothing like that. So I don't know why some people who have left negative, comments like, oh, you discriminate against other races or this and that. I think it's just how they think. it's already like they're thinking, and they react because that's what they have in their mind. When it's all just there to inform and to entertain, we could make another video asking people, why do you like, or what do you think are the good qualities about,
Black men.
yeah,
I don't know if that'd be a
but
very good thing.
yeah,
We might
but
if we really gave true answers to that. I feel like maybe we'd get some bad answers, and then people would say I'm a racist for doing a video like that.
yeah,
But it'd be an interesting video. But
what, go ahead, you first.
anyways, this race stuff. Here's the thing: it's a video about white people. I don't feel I need to include black people in it. It's not about that, and it's not because I don't love black people. Because I'll reveal something about myself that you guys don't know. Out of all the various roommates that I've had in my life, it's funny, for whatever reason, some people seem to think the majority of them are Filipino or Asian, and I have had some Asian roommates. But I've had a lot of roommates in my life, and most of them have been African American.
Yeah, I
And
have African American friends too, and they're cool.
yeah, you. I know you do, and the guy that when I needed help getting this channel back up, the guy that contributed, the individual that contributed the most money, was an African American. When I went to college and moved out of my house, and the first time moving away from my parents, the guy, my wrestling coach, who became like a second father to me, is an African American man who I respect like crazy. It's not, but I don't. The video wasn't about them, and it's okay
Yeah,
to leave them out of the video. I think
yeah.
because it's just because I can't speak what it's like to be a black man in the Philippines.
I
I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
think
can't even speak on behalf of all white
yeah,
men.
I think it was the question because you are one of them. You are an American. You are a white guy. So it was easy to ask that because you can relate to that and you have your experiences, getting good what do you call, good treatment, or like, people being nice to you. But the video does not discriminate any other races at all. Of course, these, African American, Filipinos like me, and non white guys, of course, are also great people. It just so happened again that on that video, the focus was that one question, right?
Yeah, it's just I didn't like I explained it already, and it definitely. I think most people know I'm not a racist. Truth be told, I even have black relatives. There's black people with the last name Kraft. So wrap your head around that. Not that that necessarily would mean I'm not a racist, but all this racism stuff, it's a bunch of nonsense, and I think a lot of it's overplayed in the media. There's definitely racism that exists, but it's become it's a political used as a political issue, and maybe it's something to distract people from the real issues. They can distract people with that issue, which is very touchy for people. But I think that racism is the biggest bunch of nonsense, and I hate it. And I don't know what else to say about it that
And
sums
then
it up.
also I want to add the people who left comments saying that it discriminates against other races is
They don't understand.
they
That's
just
all.
have that negative thinking. They're negative, and I think they're negative. God, I lost like what I was gonna say. They're negative and they're, I think, close minded. So I hope
Yeah,
they can be broad minded
but I also understand
to
that
understand
a lot of people, that video is getting very popular, and a lot of people, that's their first experience with seeing me for the first time. They don't really know but the other videos I've done or what I'm really about, and they're just judging me on the basis of that. They think I'm a racist, a sexist, as I've been called, these various things, but they haven't seen my other stuff. I understand that they just don't understand, and that's all. It's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, and also we cannot please everyone. As long as we're doing
You
it,
can never please everyone.
yeah.
If
But
you're an artist, you have to take that risk that you're going to offend people sometimes. If you're just going to try things, as an artist, you just got to try things. Sometimes you hope you're doing the right thing, and sometimes you don't really know, but you're just trying things and experimenting. Um, and I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah, well, personally, when we make videos, or if I do something, I have in mind, I always like think, is this gonna offend them or what? Of course, as long as we know we're doing something right, and yeah, why not? We have we have new messages.
Hmm.
Can you read them? From Don Jovi, Ima, did you sleep in a hammock in the province? Yes, I love sleeping in a hammock. It's called Duyan. Travis too. I remember that I took a video of him like sleeping on a hammock in a beach. It's a very nice beach. It's in the northern part of Samar. We went there for like a few days, just a couple of, I think 2 days. That was great. We also had one in the house, but I'm not sure if it's still there. So you like hammocks, Don Jovi? Thank you for that question. And from Saigo, I think it was seeing Travis on the big screen and the street videos. Oh, that's his favorite.
Hmm.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I think Saigo, you it'll be more fun if you check his other videos, and I guess you'll enjoy the others too.
By the way, I want to address this real quick. I don't want this thing to take so long because I want people to be able to watch the recording.
Mm-hmm.
But let's get to the point. I have another video I want to talk about real quick, which has been gaining a little bit of attention. It's not super popular, but I did a video about a a Buddhist monastery here in the Philippines, and it's a really great video. And I intended it to be a fun video, but also educational. But maybe the video is a little too good in a way in terms of it's almost giving people an overly good view of Buddhism and almost making people want to convert to Buddhism that watch it, which wasn't my intention. It's just meant to be a fun educational video. So we did this video at a Buddhist monastery, and I really did. It's a good video, man. But like I said, it's meant to be fun and it's meant to be kind of show the positive side. When we were at the monastery shooting it, there was things I didn't agree with in their philosophy. And by the way, there's a lot of different types of Buddhism that are very different from each other. This particular monastery, it's Chan Buddhism, and they have an emphasis on meditation. And they also, at this particular monastery, they want to talk. Um, they have a big belief in reincarnation, which not all Buddhists believe in reincarnation, but at this particular monastery, they really push the idea of reincarnation. And so, therefore, because of their belief in reincarnation, one of the things that they have a big stance against is no killing. No killing any kind of animal. And that's something that's a big problem for me because my grandfather's a big hunter and fisherman. My grandpa lives to hunt and fish. So they would think that my grandpa is like basically equivalent to a Nazi or a mass murderer because that's what he gets pleasure out of. Uh, but I can't believe that my grandpa's going to have bad karma or something like that
According to their
just because
belief.
that's what he does. You can't even kill a fly because that's a sin.
Or a cockroach. Oh,
Yeah,
God.
you can't kill a cockroach, you can't kill a fly, you can't kill a mosquito. Um, yeah, somehow you can kill plants and eat them. Whatever, if
Because
that
they're
makes sense.
vegetarians.
If
Yeah.
that makes sense, that's still life. You're still consuming life, by the way. I tried to explain that to them. It didn't go over so well in a sensitive way. But I just can't believe in that. And karma is the law of karma is a very great principle, I think. And it's nice to think that that's the way things work because there's justice through it. And but ultimately I don't believe in it. And the reason for a while, because they explained the law of karma, I started seeing the law of karma and everything. But the thing that kind of burst my bubble about karma was Nick Vujicic. When he came here to the Philippines,
Yeah.
Nick Vujicic, who spoke at Araneta Coliseum, he said, he said, be good and good things will happen to you, and good things don't happen to bad people, right? Well, that's not the way it works. Tell that to a 10-year-old kid that has cancer. He hasn't did bad things, yet he has cancer. Something very bad happened. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. And if you went to the Buddhist monastery, they would say, well, that kid did something bad in a previous life.
But Nick Vujicic, sorry, just correct my pronunciation.
Vujicic.
Describe him for those who may not be familiar.
Oh, if you don't know who Nick Vujicic is, he came to the Philippines several months ago, and he's a speaker.
A
Christian speaker, but he has no arms, no legs.
Yep.
And he just talks about different things. He's a great speaker. And but he said the bottom line is sometimes bad things happen to good people. And then it kind of dawned on me, yeah, sometimes bad things do happen to good people. Sometimes a little kid does get cancer. Sometimes a baby in Africa is born with AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
And does that mean they did something bad in a previous lifetime, like they would say at that monastery? No disrespect to them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe so.
Also, because they said that it's like you have to do something. If you commit a sin, or if you do something bad, you have to do something to redeem yourself. But me, I'm a believer of the gift of forgiveness and the gift of salvation, and that's through Jesus. And once
you said to me earlier today the difference between the Buddhists with their karma and the difference between the Christians is, and you put this very well, is, look, in Buddhism, if you do something bad, you're gonna pay. It's gonna come back to you if you do something bad. But if you're a Christian and you do something bad, ultimately you can be forgiven for it.
That's the grace. That's the gift from God.
That's a good point.
It's a gift that we can receive, and it's a choice. So.
And I'll be honest with you, we were actually going to do a live stream a few days ago, but we watched this video about a guy that died and came back to life. And here's the thing, anytime someone tells me one of those stories that they've died and they've went back to life, whatever they tell me, I believe them because I know they believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that one guy's story we watched on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name is Wheeler, I believe. Nick,
I can't remember.
Can't remember his first name, but his last name's Wheeler. And he had an interesting story, but it was kind of depressing in terms of, he said, nothing we do on this earth matters. We just have to honor God. Nothing else. You can get famous. You can be a celebrity. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter when you die and you go to the other world, because he's been to the other world.
Mm-hmm. He got to heaven, experienced it.
But that was kind of sad for me and discouraging, because the truth is, I love this world. And if I die and there's a heaven, then I hope if I'm in heaven, I hope I can remember what went on in this world and this universe. So it's very discouraging to say nothing matters except what we do for God. And to me, it's almost like, what's the point in having to live in this world?
What he's trying...
We must be here for a purpose.
No, I think what he's trying to say is, when you... In this world, we're like concerned of so many things. We can be worried about, material things, about security, financially, or in any other aspect. But the final destination we have, and I pray that all of us go there. It's a gift that we just have to receive, is to go to heaven. When we get there, it's where perfect joy, perfect peace is. So
that's what he said anyways.
So,
it sounded awesome while he was there, but when he came back to life, he got really depressed, and he said he was depressed for 3 weeks because he just wanted to go back.
No, I think because...
But it made me depressed because he said nothing in this world matters, but I did a lot of good things in this world, not just for other people, but for my other things, my accomplishments that I've achieved of the world. Makes me feel good, my accomplishments I've achieved in this world. I've done good things for other people, and it's like none of this, according to him, none of this matters except for what we do for God.
Well,
it just kind of depressed me looking at it that way. And I couldn't do the live stream after that because I want to be cheery and positive and encouraging to you guys to be the best people you can be. But that guy's message, and I kind of believe it's true, like I said, anytime someone, and I've met someone personally that died and came back to life, and whatever they tell me, I believe it.
Yeah, but you know what? You had these accomplishments. We have these achievements, and we did things that we know helped other people in any way. These things we were able to do because God blessed us to do them. So I know God perfectly knows our heart and our willingness to help. So don't be sad because you and I and us are actually blessed to be a blessing to others.
This guy said, though,
Right?
when he was in the world, though, I mean, when he was in heaven, because he went to heaven,
Mm-hmm.
he said that he had no memory of earth. And when he was in heaven, it's like he'd been there his whole life and he never even thought about earth. But I want to remember what went on here, the good and the bad. And I've just really enjoyed my time here in this universe that we're in. Now, when we die, where we go, or is there? It's like being in another universe. Basically, these are deep philosophical things, of course. But I believe what he said. But I really want to remember this because it's like, what's the point of being here?
I think, well, I also have to check on the Bible what it says about it and maybe like do some research. I think we can still remember anyways. So I just can't say anything more about that. But yeah.
So that's why we
Hey,
didn't do it. But let's get to Joey. Joey
hi.
Galan.
Joey Galon is one of our generous supporters.
Joey,
He
I know you
said,
live in the United States and you live in LA, I believe. And hey, beautiful couple, greens from he's from Las
Joey
Vegas.
Galon said, "Hey, beautiful couple, greetings from Las Vegas, Nevada, USA. Just wishing you both a very happy anniversary and wishing you many more years of bountiful love. That's all. Thank you so much, Joey."
Joey, I want you to know that I've been watching you on the internet and I love you. I appreciate you and your support. And I hope to see you when I'm in the United States. Thank you so much, Joey. I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
There.
And
And
Don Jovi,
Don Jovi said
what is your favorite meal
to you, Travis,
at
at
Taco
Taco
Bell?
Bell.
What's your favorite? I know what your favorite meal at Taco
I
Bell
know
is.
Travis's favorite meal